thoughts, opinions, and general overall shade thrown on High at 9 News are those of the individual speakers and not those of High at 9 News, its audience, or its advertisers. The statements made do not constitute medical, legal, or financial advice, and for advice tailored to your specific situation, please consult with a licensed professional. Welcome to the High at 9 News Hour, where you will hear from cannabis industry experts and professionals from around the country talk about important topics while shining light on global issues and discussing cannabis as it relates to politics, regulation and reform, data and technology, science, research and medicine, family and parenting, art, celebrities and entertainment, fitness, sports, mental health and wellness, and plant-based medicines and entheogenics. Together, we are building a stronger community, fighting the stigma and creating change. With your host, Jason Beck, joined by special industry expert correspondents from around the country, and daily antics brought to you by cannabis. Coming to you live every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time and high noon on the East Coast. And thank you all for getting high at 9 with us. Yeah. Good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday, January 28th, and 2026, and today is National Pop Art Day today. Right?
Okay.
Yeah, I know. Pop art, real exciting. I like pop-up books when I was a kid. Those were cool. But I don't think that's the same thing.
People I know that do pop art, it's like, did that in junior high school. We took pieces of clay and paint them pretty colors, and it's like, okay, where's Picasso? Maybe that's I don't know.
It's also National Library Shelfie Day.
Library Shelfie?
I know.
What is that?
Let's see. Library Shelfie Day. Here we go.
Are you taking a selfie at the library?
No. Shelfie, not selfie. Shelfie. Let's see.
Where the books are on the shelf.
Some collectors of books tend to arrange their collections so their spines can be admired pleasantly. Others have a system of organization that results in an alternative art form. However, our books are organized on the shelf, and they are meant to be photographed and shared on social media. Library shelfies offer book stories, libraries, schools, and individuals an opportunity to express their reading preferences through a single photograph. Whether they frame their favorite authors' titles, genres, or cover art, readers share a bit of their library in creative ways with or without dust jackets. Signed and unsigned and dog-eared and in mint condition. And bibliophiles love books of all kinds, it says.
So we are taking a selfie of the books we haven't read on our shelves.
No.
I'm being an asshole. But
I saw what you were doing. I saw what you were doing there. I've read every single book in my house.
Some people do, and some people just have them on display.
It says whether you have a small library. Says whether you have a small library with a few select favorites or a true bibliophile, arrange your collection on a shelf and take a picture. Express your inner artist and build a tower of babbling books or a wall of words, and invite others to join you in your aesthetically pleasing book building adventure. Look at that.
Sounds a little anal retentive to me.
I'm happy to encourage reading. I feel fairly confident people who are aware of Shelfie Day and are really actively, unless they're actually working in the field, I'm going to guess most of the people posting their selfies have not read the books that they are posting about, but I'm also kind of an asshole in the morning. That's probably just me being...
That's a rude assumption, Shaun.
You guys catch me before noon. That's a very
saucy. rude assumption there, Shaun.
Hey, I can't say the F word, but can I say the A word?
No, we're easy there, Shaun. Easy there.
No more cursing for Mama.
Yeah. You're a mom. Right. You're a mom. If you let your kids say it, then you know what I'm saying?
Mouse.
Yeah, if you let your kids say it, when they're 6 years old, then you know what I'm saying? Then you can say it.
I do let they can now, but
I said at 6 years old.
It's the sign of a colorful vocabulary. So to all of you who love to curse,
that's craziness, crazy talk. It's National Gift of the Ladybug Day today.
Gift of what?
Gift of the ladybug. Yeah, Dale. Gift of the ladybug.
Where in the hell do you find this shit? Come on.
Hey, bro, I don't make up the days, Dale. I just announce them. National Gift of the Ladybug. This is a book. This is a book, just so you know. National Gift of the Ladybug Day on January 28th honors all children with critical illnesses. The day is also an opportunity to raise awareness of childhood illnesses and support the children and the families facing medical differences. It's a book that's called LadyBug, that is about kids with medical, you know what I mean. The book The Gift of the Ladybug by Carol Mack follows the story of a family of horses who discovered their child is a ladybug and will not live very long. The ladybug reassures the horses by saying, "I'm a ladybug. I don't know how to be a horse, and I only know how to be a ladybug." This sounds like some wokeness to me, but
is it about transformation, Jason?
It sounds like some wokeness.
You want to move on to the next stage?
I liked it for a second, but now it sounds stupid again.
Keep reading, Jason.
No, it's also Data Privacy Day, and I think people should keep that book private and locked up, maybe burn it.
Data Privacy Day? Yeah. Are you kidding me? After the Patriot Act, we still have we're pretending.
You know what's funny is I was at this I was at this thing, and there was a booth of DNI. You know what I'm saying? DNI had a booth over there, and they're like, "Hey, we provide free data software to make sure that you don't get hacked." And I'm just like, oh man, if that isn't ironic. But it's also National Blueberry Pancake Day today, you guys. And remember, Dale, we want an even amount of blueberries in every pancake.
That's right. Don't be scrimping anybody now.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Yes. And thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us. It's also high noon on the East Coast. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to us on all social media platforms. You can look up above and down below to see exactly where we live on the internet. And we are live every Monday through Friday on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, X, Instagram, Facebook, Kick, as well as on our very own website, www.high9news.com. So thank you to all of us for joining us from whatever platform that is. And man, I have an interesting story, and this is coming out of Arizona. They say that some Trump Republicans backing Arizona marijuana adult use sales repeal, you guys. That's right. They're saying some MAGA Republicans still don't like President Donald J. Trump's marijuana rescheduling proposal and support rolling back adult use sales in Arizona. In defiance of President Donald J. Trump's, two prominent Arizona Republicans say they're opposed to marijuana rescheduling and are keen on recriminalizing adult use cannabis sales. Arizona is the third state, along with Massachusetts and Maine, with a voter initiative funded by a prominent anti-legalization group proposes eliminating adult use sales. Legal cannabis in Arizona is a billion-dollar market with 2024 sales, the most recent data available, totaling $1.2 billion with a B dollars. But will Arizona repeal the adult use cannabis sales? Well, as Tucson Weekly reported, the Sensible Marijuana Policy Act for Arizona would eliminate the adult use industry but leave medical cannabis sales as is. That's similar to the proposals gathering signatures in Massachusetts and Maine. Not yet cleared to begin gathering signatures, the measure's sponsor is political consultant Sean Noble, and he's receiving funding from SAM, Smart Approaches to Marijuana, the Weekly reported. SAM, a dark money nonprofit, is also backing the cannabis recriminalization measures in Massachusetts and Maine, and in interviews with Marijuana Moment, U.S. Representative Andy Biggs and U.S. Representative Paul Gosar signaled support for repealing adult use sales and cast doubt on downgrading cannabis status under federal law. Both are right-wing MAGA Republicans who have enjoyed the president's endorsement. I'm just going to say this right now. These guys are not MAGA Republicans. These guys are Rhino Republicans. These guys are out at Arizona. These are John McCain Republicans. These guys are not MAGA Republicans. That's me saying that. Trump Republicans don't like Trump's marijuana push, but the undisputed leader of the Republican Party, President Donald J. Trump, backed members of his own party, including House Speaker Mike Johnson, when he issued the executive order on December 18th directing cannabis to be moved to a Schedule III of the Controlled Substances Act. Gosar backed the sales repeal bill and told Marijuana Moment that he hopes to ask the president to reconsider cannabis rescheduling. On top of that, Gosar claimed that an unruly cannabis industry has disobeyed the rules and resisted every which way with the regulations. Attorney General Pam Bondi has yet to act on the executive order, which directed her to reclassify cannabis in the most expeditious manner, and she's supposed to do that by Friday. But nonetheless, and Biggs, who told Marijuana Moment that he's inclined to support the repeal bill, added that he opposes rescheduling because cannabis users are more likely to need welfare benefits. Repealing adult use sales in Arizona, which began in 2021, might be the biggest lift, and the repeal effort would need to collect nearly 256,000 signatures by July of 2026 to qualify for the November 2026 ballot. Massachusetts' cannabis criminalization push survives fraud allegations, though, because in Massachusetts, where Sam Action Incorporated has contributed all of the $1.55 million in support to repeal, the effort survived a recent challenge inspired by allegations of fraud. And on January 22nd, the State Ballot Law Commission rejected a Boston attorney's attempt to compel state elections officials to conduct an investigation. As reported by MJ Biz Daily and other outlets, Massachusetts voters claim the campaign workers deceived them into signing the petition. That's also a story we covered here on High at 9 News. And they say that such behavior is First Amendment protected activity, and the courts have ruled on that. Well. Again, as I say, these guys are not MAGA Republicans. These guys are John McCain Republicans, Lincoln Project Republicans, and just because they got Trump's endorsement doesn't mean that they're MAGA Republicans, but I can't wait to hear what you have to say about this.
I don't think you can put the toothpaste back in the tube, Jason.
Hey, I'm with you, Dale. I'm with you on that.
They are Trump Republicans.
No, they're not.
They are Trump Republicans. Yeah, they're all on the same team.
No, they're not.
They are all on the same team.
They are not on the same team, or else they would not be taking this stance against the president.
That is nonsense. They all do this as a part of a PR game. This is a silly little PR game. They know this isn't going anywhere. They know that.
I don't know. I think they think it's going somewhere.
They're just playing to their voters. They're lying to you, to the voters, to the legislators, and to the president. They are spineless people who can be bought and sold on a dime.
They're spineless people.
Yeah, and they are MAGA Republicans.
No, they're not. No, they're not. These guys are Lincoln Project Republicans. They are not MAGA Republicans. These guys are rhinos. A prisoner of war who served very made his mistakes, but make no mistake. At least totally
he didn't dodge draft. He's not a draft dodger. He was a POW. I don't care if you think he was a loser for being a POW, but I think that was the better era.
He wasn't a real POW. He doesn't know TAPS. He doesn't know TAPS.
You're not going to talk about a prisoner of war and
I am going to talk about that. I am going to talk about that because John McCain is a psyop, straight up.
John McCain is a psyop, and Donald Trump is a fucking the element of
easy
purity.
there, Shaun.
Psyop. Let's talk about it.
Easy there. No F-bombs.
This is going nowhere fast.
Let's bring it back to the point here.
Yep.
Is that I think they're deluded in thinking you can put the toothpaste back in the tube. The story I got this morning is another window into how popular smoking weed is amongst Mary and Joe Dokes out there. And the real problem they don't have an answer for is that just because you pass a law doesn't mean you can enforce it. And for many, many decades now, they haven't been able to enforce cannabis laws in this country. Pick a few people off, but people keep moving forward thinking, we're not shooting smack here, okay? We're not drunk driving. We're not beating our wives and children. Why are you bothering us at our home, smoking a joint, watching a football game? Why are you doing that? And they don't have an answer for that. They just think they're self-righteous. Reminds me of the women's Christian temperance movement back in Prohibition.
Yep.
You could not shake them from their belief system. It didn't matter, even though they just spawned a criminal underworld, refused to think about how to make this safe for people and give them what they want. They think they're your mom and dad because Kevin Sabet, don't like this. You can't do it. Well,
exactly.
I'm not going to drop an F-bomb, but he can go himself.
Yep.
That guy's a lunatic. Mm-hmm. And you cannot enforce these laws today. If every cop in the country tried to enforce marijuana laws, they can't. Mm-hmm. Then we can't go after real criminals. And that's what the younger generation, I've got children and grandchildren in these younger generations. And they look at these people and think, you fell out of the stupid tree and hit your head along the way a lot. Yep. Why would you be doing this? We don't support it. Yet here we are throwing millions of dollars. Where's that coming from? Mm-hmm. That's what concerns me, is who's funding this shit. Okay, I'd like to know that, because these people get to stay dark. Okay, that's what we got out of Citizens United. They had a lot of dark money out there. I'd like to know who's contributing to these, because I suspect it's people who want to advance their agendas and have some money. Yep. And that ain't the cannabis industry that I know.
Exactly.
I mean, if we want to talk about psyops, money laundering, like, who's behind it? Probably the same people who put 40 mil into Melania, and that's not real. Like, let's be honest about this shit. All the people, if it's dark money, it's probably coming from the same source.
It's dark. It said where the dark money was coming from Kevin Sabet. It's
meant to control you, and
exactly.
It's not. They're not even doing on the lobbying work. All of the money that they're spending, much like the 40 mil spent on this ridiculous documentary. By the way, documentary. Those are low budget. You don't need that much money.
You're conflating things that don't even
need that much. I'm not complaining. I'm pointing out the logic between all of it, because
there is no logic there.
It is logic. It is money laundering nonsense, because the lobbying work being done by these morons, even these prohibitionists who are doing it, the work is sloppy. It's trash. It's not logical. It makes no sense, yet it keeps getting pushed. So what are you paying all this millions for? Like, I'm seeing all of this money going to inefficient, ineffective lobbyists who actually, even in their scumminess and their like corruption, they're not even good at that. Like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's all money laundering. Speculative, but how I feel.
Not buying none of that. Not buying none of that.
And nobody's buying tickets to that movie either.
Oh, I already bought my ticket.
And when you don't care about how it performs, it's very obvious that this is money laundering.
I already bought my ticket.
Come on, guys.
I can't
we work in cannabis. If you don't know, if you can't see what's real and what's not, get out of this business.
Well, speaking of what's real and what's not, what's real is that these guys need to fall in line with the president's agenda and stop trying to backstab and counteract and try to fulfill their own agenda, because these guys are not MAGA Republicans. These guys might as well just go and sign up for the Lincoln Project. And on that, we're going to go to our first commercial, and we'll be right back. Let's see. All right, coming up next, the ACLU and other legal groups file a brief with the U.S. Supreme Court arguing that the federal ban for marijuana users is unconstitutional, Dale. A coalition of legal advocacy organizations led by the American Civil Liberties Union filed a brief on Saturday with the U.S. Supreme Court, arguing that the federal government cannot strip cannabis users of their Second Amendment rights under 18 U.S.C. 922 G3. The filing comes in the case of the United States versus Hamani and contends that the law is both unconstitutionally vague and unsupported by the nation's historical tradition of firearms regulation. The case centers on Ali Denali Hermani, who was charged solely for possessing a handgun in his home while admitting to using marijuana a few times a week. The brief emphasizes that the government is not accusing Hamani of carrying or using a firearm while intoxicated, nor of being addicted to any substance. Instead, the prosecution rests entirely on the claim that he qualifies as an unlawful user of a controlled substance because of his marijuana use. According to the filing by the ACLU of Texas, the CLEAR project at at CUNY School of Law and private counsel from Newland Legal and Clement and Murphy, the phrase unlawful user is nowhere defined in the federal law, leaving courts for decades to guess what level of use qualifies. Judges across multiple circuits have adopted conflicting interpretations requiring varying degrees of frequency, recency, and duration of drug use to justify prosecution. And the brief argues that this confusion is proof that the statute fails to give ordinary people fair notice of what conduct is criminal, a core requirement of due process, especially when constitutional rights are involved. The filing notes that the statute offers no guidance on whether someone who uses a controlled substance once a year, once a month, or occasionally in social settings could be considered an unlawful user, and that uncertainty becomes even more problematic when the conduct at issue is keeping a firearm in the home for self-defense, an activity squarely protected by the Second Amendment. Beyond the vagueness argument, the brief challenges the government's attempt to justify the law through historical analogs, and the government has pointed to old laws restricting firearm use while intoxicated. But the brief argues those laws targeted people actively under the influence, not people who used intoxicants days earlier and were fully sober while possessing firearms. Historical intoxication laws prohibited carrying or using guns while drunk and not keeping them in the home. And the government has also tried to compare modern marijuana users to historical or habitual drunkards. Sorry. But the brief argues that comparison fails, and at the founding, even frequent alcohol consumption did not result in losing the right to own firearms, and there was never a tradition of disarming people simply because they regularly consumed an intoxicating substance. The filing further points out that most states today do not disarm marijuana users, and only a small handful of laws resembling the federal approach, and even those have been scaled back or modified as cannabis laws evolve. This brief argues and shows that the federal government's position is not only historically unsupported, but also an outlier in modern practice. Adding to the complexity of the brief highlights that the federal government itself is in the process of reclassifying cannabis to a Schedule III and officially recognized it as having less potential for abuse and dependence than substances like heroin or methamphetamine. That shift, the brief suggests, undermines the claim that marijuana use alone justifies stripping someone of a constitutional right, and at its core, the argument presented to the Supreme Court is straightforward. There has never been a tradition in the United States of disarming people simply because they use an intoxicating substance with some degree of frequency, and applying 922G3 in this way, the brief contends, would allow the government to deprive millions of otherwise law-abiding Americans of their right to keep a firearm in the home. A separate amicus brief was also filed this week by constitutional scholar and attorney Corey J. Biasio, who urged the court to reject the government's reliance on status-based firearm bans untethered from any historical tradition of disarmament. His filing argues that early American firearm regulations targeted dangerous conduct such as carrying weapons while intoxicated, not the personal habits of otherwise peaceable citizens, and warns that allowing federal drug classifications to dictate who may exercise Second Amendment rights would create a geographically inconsistent constitutional standard across the country, you guys. Wow, look at this. The ACLU is actually doing something good. I'm impressed, lightweight. Can't wait to hear what you guys have to say about this.
Well, we've been talking about the going back to the Bruin case where the Supreme Court said we're going to look back starting in 1789 and see how we handled things then and going forward. And that creates serious problems for what the federal government has tried to do here. And the argument here is that saying it's vague means it's unconstitutional on its face as it's written. If you can't tell me what it means to be an illegal user of a controlled substance, you're right. And how do I know what I can and can't do? I might point out that several hundred years ago, most people started drinking in the morning because alcohol made water safe to drink. So they had low alcohol drinks all goddamn day long. So how do you take away gun rights from somebody who's doing something all the time? Find somebody like in Tombstone when he's out in the street shooting into everybody's window as he's drunker than Hogan's goat. Not somebody hey, you're dangerous right now, till you sober up, taking your guns away.
Yep.
That's precedent. Okay.
Exactly.
Somebody who has a drink while they're playing cards and has got their 6-shooter on their side, they're not taking their guns away. And that's the problem the federal government have, is that they've stuck cannabis and marijuana or these interpretations in all sorts of federal statutes. And even if you reschedule, you've got to go back and scrub out of all the federal statutes and regulations these ill-conceived interpretations of cannabis and what it is and how it should be treated. I mean, even if they reschedule, if you get caught with 100 marijuana plants, you're still going to federal prison for 5 years, even if it's Schedule 3. Okay, that's just one of the many problems they have. And the gun rights things is something that my veterans friends and I just get really pissed about, because they want you to put your name on a list. Oh, I'm a legitimate medical user, but that list can get you your gun rights taken away.
Exactly.
It's been a vicious cycle that has never given people the ability to sit down honestly and discuss this, because we've got, from the last story, the knuckleheads who want to tell you can't do something because I'm your daddy and you can't do it. You know, it's like my daddy died a long time ago. You can kiss my ass, buddy. What I do in my house in the privacy of my home ain't your business. And you shouldn't take people's gun rights away for that.
Exactly.
I think I have a little concern, and I think a trend that we're gonna see in the future, especially on the tail end of this administration, and regardless of this administration, because I think this was a long time coming for the United States, was I would bank that we do see some traction with cannabis or marijuana or hemp, whatever we're going to call it. If they call it hemp, it's the easiest road. If they call it hemp, it's the easiest pathway. If we want to do it with marijuana, here's the red flag. We know that through hemp, you don't have to go too crazy with your legislation because you have your farm bill, and you don't have to edit or pull out too many things. If you go the marijuana route, what triggers me, or not triggers me like an emotional triggered way, guys, let's grow up here. The little trigger that I see, like an IED, when you see the red flags coming and it's about to explode, is that if they have to go in and dig into all of this law, they know that very well. And what I'm concerned for is that we're going to see something, Dale, where we expand certain individual liberties under a guise with very overly regulated big brother super nanny state kind of rules. Especially, look, if it happens in the Dems, they'll definitely do it. I'm not saying the Republicans are any better, because they definitely have some other nonsense on the backside. I really think they're gunning for medical regulatory capture on both sides. I do think that they'll give you some civil liberties, and at the same time, they will examine and reevaluate some of your inherent amendment rights that from the Bill of Rights, right? Like your Second Amendment, and that one is really
that's what Democrats. That's the Democratic policy that they want to do.
I think it's silly to believe. I mean, we all understand that more on the left side of the spectrum, but I'm a veteran. I served. I have a weapon. I will shoot you if you violate my property line, or me. You're not coming out of that one looking good. Okay. Now, but I am on the left side. I think it is a misunderstanding. Just because people on the left are not out parading around using their 2A rights doesn't mean we don't have weapons, doesn't mean we don't believe in it. And I do think you're going to see a negotiation or subtle exchange that I think the American people, much like the Patriot Act that I called on earlier, that you're going to see, oh, okay, we'll give you this. And insidiously, we're going to take all of this other stuff. And it includes these kinds of nonsensical arguments, Dale, because you're right. It doesn't make sense. So why are they continuing to pursue it beyond just the PR headline? And I don't think that they're so dumb that I don't think that they're so organized that they have some big scheme really pulling all the strings. I think they just get lucky sometimes. It's like a startup. Every administration is like a startup. And I am worried that they are going to keep capitulating because the Congress is not like a startup, and they're going to take some of your rights away and tell you, oh, but we gave you weed. It worries me deeply.
There's going to be some serious questions posed to the NRA, to those who support the Second Amendment, over carrying weapons at demonstrations. I mean, that shit has already hit the fan.
Yep.
Okay. And I don't know how people are going to react to this, but I remember back in the 60s when the Black Panthers showed up with weapons strapped over their shoulders, they were allowed to do, and the federal law changed real damn quick.
Yep.
If you're a felon, you can't carry a gun. Now we're going to have some of the same questions because you have a First Amendment right to freely assemble. You're peaceable. There's the question, because people's idea of what's peaceful isn't always what the cops' idea is what's peaceful. But you have a right to have your weapons there. I do not want people to show up there with guns, but you do have a right to do that. And now what happens? If you're not properly trained in crowd control, okay, and I've represented cops, I generally support them. I've seen some lose their shit and just don't know what to do, where as soon as bullets start flying, and Shaun, you know this from a battlefield situation, all things go to hell, okay? Your adrenaline jumps and you're just starting to shoot. Why'd they put 10 rounds in that guy? Because once you start shooting, dude, your finger just starts pulling, okay? This has the potential to be really disastrous for us, but they threw a turd in the punch bowl here. Kyle Rittenhouse was a favor of everybody for showing up with a gun, and this guy shows up and he gets killed. I'm not saying anybody's right or wrong. I'm saying that the optics of this are not good, and it creates some questions that we just have not wanted to answer. You get into school shootings, get into who's responsible for watching kids with guns, and you smoke pot and have a gun. These are all intertwined where it says the Congress shall make no law. You know, it's like, okay, we're going to take you. No, you're not. Because you can't enforce that law in this country. You could pass a law tomorrow and say, we're going to take your guns away. Good luck.
Yeah.
Good luck. Well, it ain't going to happen.
I think it's important to be clear. There are still, there are reports that the gentleman was not at a protest. He was a conceal and carry license permit who happened to see activity and was trying to shield a woman. I saw the footage. Nowhere in my training, and Dale, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure you received the same training. Nowhere in my training were we ever allowed to disarm and shoot in the back of the head and then unload multiple rounds. Every bullet you are accountable for. And I think it's really important what Dale says is every bullet you are accountable for. These people do not feel accountable for any of their bullets or actions, especially because they're masked, and that is very dangerous. And
it's funny how everybody wanted people to wear masks during COVID, but now you can't wear masks.
Routinely, I let all of the gentlemen speak.
Go for it. Go ahead. I let you speak tons of times.
I interrupt as much as I am interrupted.
I don't know about all that.
It's very true.
I don't know about all that, but okay.
I'm very clear on when I do and when I don't.
No, I don't know about that, but go ahead.
That's fine if you don't know. I'm telling you. The fact of the matter is, when you're in law enforcement, you have a higher responsibility than the standard citizen. That's why you're supposed to be unmasked. There are not MS-13. You're not getting assassinated in the United States, and if you are, we have another issue. Okay? You need to be identified for accountability. We are accountable for every bullet, whether you're on the range training and pointing at a target or you are preparing to take a life. And it is going to get out of control because these little boys playing around in OCP uniforms in a non-jungle environment, which is hilarious. You're in camo for what? It's all about optics. These little boys playing Call of Duty in the streets of America will not be able to manage themselves, to calm themselves in the storm because they have never been in a storm. They think they are the storm. They have no idea what is coming for them when they will be made accountable. And no one is going to forget. And Dale, I can't wait to get to your subject on dating too, because yes, I'm excited about that one. But also that's why you're not getting laid, honey. Nobody wants you. Have a nice day.
Well, now hold on, Shaun. I'll let you go on your pedestal for a while, Shaun. I'll let you go on your pedestal for a while. That we're good on that right now. So back to the story. Back to the actual points of the merits of this story, Dale. I find it very interesting in this case that that the Supreme Court chose this case over the other one. And I think the main reason that they chose this case is because this guy had his gun at his home. He wasn't out with it. He wasn't whatever. It was just at his house. And they're trying to say that he doesn't have a right to have it because he consumes cannabis on a few times a week or whatever. And I think that's why the Supreme Court chose this case over the other ones that we were hoping that the Supreme Court would take up as well. And the Justice Department is going to have a real hard time trying to prove any of the things that were mentioned in the story, as far as, you know, reasonable assertion and everything else like that. Dale, I want you to kind of just talk about that for a second.
Well, I think you're right that they cherry picked a good factual situation to make it cleaner.
Yeah.
Because we have the privacy of your home, which has been recognized for over 100 years now as a place where the government cannot intrude into your home unless they have some exigent circumstances or they have a warrant. Okay. So there's the starting point. And then we have the vague definition of the illegal use of a controlled substance. I mean, theoretically, if it's not prescribed to you and you use it, it's an illegal use. So that's just very, very expansive. It's vague and ambiguous. It covers situations that should never have it covered. And I would like to see the Supreme Court declare cleanly as they can that within the privacy of your home, you have Second Amendment rights, and just take away these stupid ass exceptions out there when you're drunk. I mean, if you're in your home and you're drunk, okay, I don't know where we draw that line. That's not the question we have here. Okay. If you're at home and you burn one, relax, to go have sex, to watch a football game or whatever, to have nachos, and they come kick your doors in, take your guns away. I'm sorry, that's un-American. That flies in the face of our Constitution.
Exactly.
Should not be happening. And I would hope that the Supreme Court would just get all the nonsense and all the screaming from all the people on the side out of the way. And look, do we have a right to have a gun in our house or not? Because if you do, what does the government have to prove to take your gun away in the privacy of your own home? And I hope they find that that's basically impossible to prove. So leave people alone in the privacy of their own home. About that.
Fair enough. Well, on that, we're going to keep this train rolling, and we're going to see and make sure that we're following the story, because I can't wait to see what happens with this. And I just can't imagine the kind of arguments that the Justice Department is going to try to make or assert into this case, because I feel like there's too many holes in their ship for them to be able to have any reasonable arguments. But of course, they're going to come up with whatever, and it's probably all going to be BS, but nonetheless.
I mean, do you guys think they're actually going to argue it?
Yeah, they are. Oh, they are. They've already stated that they are going to argue it 100%. They don't have a choice. If the Supreme Court's going to take it, the Justice Department has to go and argue. You know what I'm saying?
No, I don't mean like actually like argue. And it's. I mean, I feel like most of these decisions are already made. And if we actually, the people get a decision in our favor, it is really by some virtuous fluke.
That's not how it works, Shaun. That's total ridiculousness.
I am believing more. It's not
a city council meeting. This is the Supreme Court. It's not how that works.
Yeah, it's the Supreme Court. Are you kidding me, Jason?
I am 100%. I pay attention to everything. Okay. I pay more attention to anything. Okay. That's what I do all day, every day, is pay attention.
I don't get like all heated with you like you do with me. You guys get mad because I have a different opinion, and then I talk back the same way that you do.
Not even close. We don't have to
get mean with each other.
I'm not getting mean.
I'm paying attention. You're paying attention. Sure.
Yeah, I pay attention every time. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
All day, every day. Yes, all love, Shaun. And on that, we're going to keep this train rolling. We're going to roll right into attorney at law, Mr. Dale Schafer. And Dale has been an attorney since the Reagan administration. He has represented physicians, hospitals, insurance companies, cops, corrections officers, and for the last 25 years, he has specialized in cannabis law. He served a 5-year federal prison sentence for helping medical marijuana patients and managed to save his law license. He's blunt. He doesn't smoke them because they're ratchet, they're nasty, and they turn your teeth yellow and other things yellow, but he is honest and he's unconcerned with your opinion, public opinion, and anyone wants to identify as anything else's opinion. And he will show you how he can defy gravity by pissing up a rope. And it is your favorite Tio Loco, and you can now find him at his own law office, at the law office of none other than Dale Schafer.
Good morning, everybody. Theo Loco here, Jason's favorite, full of shiticus.
Yeah.
And here we go with this story from Marijuana Moment caught my attention because I think it's a bit more of a window into how people are viewing cannabis use. This may be confirmation bias on my part. I don't know, but here's the headline. It's marijuana use isn't a red flag in the dating scene, 3 in 4 Americans say in a new survey. Now, I just want to point out that what Mark Twain told us, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. So always be careful about reading too much into statistical surveys or people's numbers, because you can twist them up into knots if you want to. And it's only 1,000 people. These are 1,000 people who had recently been dating, and I don't know how the criteria works, but they've been out in the dating scene. Okay. And 3/4 of them said, hey, if you smoke pot, it's not a red flag for me. Okay. Now, if I show up for a date and you break out your heroin rig or your crack pipe, it's probably a red flag and a turnoff.
Right.
Okay. But for people who smoke weed, it's like, yeah, so what? Okay. And in fact, it may be an enhancing factor. The only thing that's less of a red flag was drinking alcohol, which is something that we've all seen in a lot of these statistical analysis. People look at cannabis much like they look at alcohol. In fact, alcohol use is dropping amongst this younger generation. They see this as pretty much what it is. It's another substance that makes you feel good. The government had a hair up its ass about it for a long time. We just don't buy it anymore. So let's move on. Okay? Now, there were some other interesting things that came out of this that I screamed from the rafters, do more research. I'm a girl dad, have been for 50 years, and I was in the practice of medicine for a long time. And women have some problems that are unique to the female of our species, okay? And we're talking about things like gynecological surgery that leaves you with what they call vaginismus or painful coitus, right? People who have horrible, horrible problems with menstruation. And some of the things they're seeing here, and also with sexual satisfaction. Finding that cannabis can help with some of the pain and coitus from these post-gynecological surgical females. And this is a real problem. It isn't, if it's in your house, it's a real problem. Also, women who have just really painful menstruation, they're finding that suppositories help with those symptoms. And people talking about sex, alcohol will get you laid quicker than cannabis will. But people find cannabis to be more satisfactory to help with sex, to make you feel better about it and more satisfied about it. And again, I think these all scream out for more research, because women deal with these problems on a regular basis. Guys, they can stick their head in the sand and forget. This doesn't really apply to me. I don't care. But like I said, I'm a girl dad. I've got daughters and granddaughters, and we talk about things like this. And when you have these problems, they are real. They control your life. And if you can find a way to have cannabis help you with that, I think we need more research. So that's the other part of this, is not only are people out in the dating scene don't give two shits about whether you smoke weed, but we're now finding that cannabis and cannabinoids are helpful with sex and with some of these gynecological problems that guys just want to pretend don't exist for women. So I'm going to throw this back at you for your comments, and please jump in here, Shaun.
Ladies first.
No, Jason, you can take the lead on that.
Ladies I insist. Ladies first. I insist. I'm a gentleman. I'm a gentleman.
Oh, Dale, I think you hit the nail on the head. Yeah, frankly, I will be honest, I have a habit of ignoring or deleting my Hinge profile pretty routinely. So dating in general is kind of hit or miss right now for everybody, because a lot of women are sick of doing it and they're at home smoking weed. I think you're going to find this, honestly, if you don't, it's a negative for me if you don't, because I need to be able to light a blunt with someone while we watch, the apocalypse unfold, and then try to change it and make for a better day. So you're going to see like massive, at least the women that I know, and I'm in Austin. So Austin is one of those healthier, fitter cities. Dating is a big thing here. It's kind of a lot. It's a lot like LA, you know, everybody's been dating everybody and they date a lot. And some of us are just not having it. But you're in a healthy and fit city. Honestly, cannabis consumption still is not really a big issue. It's your alcohol consumption that is really the red flag, especially for women. I have yet to meet a stoner who's triggered into violence by smoking, but I can tell you a number of guys I've met who are definitely triggered into violence through their drinking. And that is a massive red flag for all of us, like something that we have to be very keenly aware of.
I actually agree with you on that, Shaun.
You can't be around someone who you don't know if they're what they're predictable. They're bigger.
Yeah.
They outsize you. They're supposed to be your protector, but it's dating, and dating is very convoluted right now. And if you can't predict how the person who you're with is going to behave, it's just better not to. I honestly, like, my favorite dates have been the ones where I'm very candid in my profiles when I am dating, that I consume. And I think that helps people, like, to be honest. And my best dates have always been when we've gone on a walk in the park and shared a spliff or a joint or something and just had a nice conversation, and no, there's never that pressure or that feeling that comes with alcohol or that weird. Women can sense it, boys. Women can sense it if they slow down and they know themselves well enough. We can sense when you're trying to do something that is not in our interest and you're trying to get to an outcome. And some women will ignore it and just pray that you'll change or you'll see later. That's bad, ladies. Don't do that. Don't be waiting like that. But alcohol, you can just sense this huge shift, and cannabis, it doesn't exist there. With cannabis, you can get really more connected. And honestly, more men I've noticed feel anxious consuming on a date because they're already in their head. So it's like, if you don't smoke, it almost hurts you, kind of. Like, if you're not consuming, it almost hurts you. But I don't want to say that. There are a lot of Gen Z people out there who are totally teetotalers. They don't drink and they don't smoke. And I don't blame them. Everybody should be fit for whatever the hell is coming next.
So, you know, I want to address the one comment made in the chat. It says, by Fundamentals 24 says, yeah, drunk girls are way more violent than drunk men, and that says a lot. Now, I somewhat do agree with that to some degree. I think there's a air of truth in there. The difference is that men are a lot more stronger and can do a lot more damage a lot faster. Okay, where everyone loves to watch a girl fight, you know what I'm saying? It's going to be great. You know, someone's going to get their dress ripped, their extensions pulled out or something. It makes for great comedy. Okay, great, you know, great commentary, all that, you know what I'm saying? But like, when a man is beating on a woman, I just can't. That's just that to me is kind of, you know, I'm not with that. You know what I mean? You gotta know no restraint. You know what I'm saying? And whatnot. I'm not gonna sign up for all that, but I love to watch a good girl fight. You know what I mean? I've been watching a few on X, and man, they be going at it. There was like 6 or 8 of them out in the streets of Miami the other night that were in a girl fight, and they were all out in the club. And it's always funny too, because then you see the ones, they'll take their shoes off and then they're walking around on the concrete all barefoot. I'm just like, oh, I guess I'm so grossed out by that. I'm like, it's so nasty that they're walking barefoot on the concrete like that. Oh man.
Well, you don't want to break an ankle in your heels.
You know, it's just, you know,
Lord.
You know, but then again, it goes back to the, you know, ladies,
you know what?
ladies be ladies, ladies be ladies, ladies don't fight, ladies be ladies. And they need to go back to the etiquette class and practice walking down the stairs with a book on their head.
Okay, no.
Just saying.
No. Ladies, go out there, train jujitsu, learn how to be rough and how to protect yourselves. And even as someone who trains and knows a couple women who can knock a man out, I still agree with Jason in the sense that they still usually have 50 pounds on you, and most women out there are not scrapping like that. So
you got to watch out for the ones that got 50 pounds on you.
Seeing that they have like that huge, like $20 billion hit in alcohol right now. It almost equals the exact amount of the hemp industry, 28 billion. It's crazy. I think people are just they're sick of drinking something that poisons them, that causes family issues, that leads to domestic violence. Like, anyone who's still really hardcore on the alcohol, okay, go for it. Like, do you? But I feel like everybody's sick of it.
Well, in regards with the alcohol, we are seeing the trends, and I spoke about this on Matt Gates' show on OAN the other day. So hopefully you guys have checked that out last Thursday. But that's
it's my YouTube feed, Jason. So you are hitting the algorithm.
I love it. You know what I'm saying? I love that. I love that. And so, the thing about it though is the generations, and you even see it from the beverage the distributors or whatnot, and the retailers, and they're picking up more cannabis beverages and whatnot. I think overall that is a good thing. Even though I'm not a big bevy guy, I think it's kind of corny, but whatever. It's it is what it is, and people, I'm saying, I'm not mad at it. It's just not a product for me. But nonetheless, the tides are shifting on alcohol consumption, and I hope that does continue to trend. A friend of mine was the lead prosecutor at the San Francisco district attorney's office, and he always used to tell me, he's like, I've never read a police report that says a guy smoked cannabis and went and beat his wife, or got into some crazy car crash, or anything like that whatsoever. All of those cases all involve alcohol. He said every single one of them involves alcohol. And so, hopefully people make smarter decisions, but rule number one, people are stupid. So you got to always remember rule number one. And on that, we're going to go into our next commercial, and we are going to be right back. And please keep in mind that these ads are currently now playing on Fox TV.
Rescheduling cannabis, which was classified as more dangerous than fentanyl. Trump's action will destroy the cartel's illicit black market, expand medical research, and ensure seniors and veterans safely receive the care they need. Thank President Trump for delivering on another America First promise.
Oh, and we're back. Stop whatever you're doing. Make sure you smash that like button. I know we'll appreciate it. You'll appreciate it. And YouTube will appreciate it. Also, make sure you subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed already. And all of the articles that we cover on today's show, you can read directly on our website, www.high9news.com. And please make sure that you're following us on X and Rumble, as those are the most two stable platforms out there in the universe. And I do have a super, super important information to share with you guys. The call that I received just a few minutes ago, maybe like 20 minutes ago, when you guys heard my phone ring, that was a call from an individual that was calling to inform me that we lost someone in the cannabis industry today, someone very near and dear to my heart. I know is probably very near and dear to Dale's heart as well. He was my political consigliere, who I learned all my political stuff from in my very, very, very early days. And so we want to dedicate this show in the memory of Wayne Justman, who passed away this morning. And so God bless him and his family. And we'll be right back after this commercial.
Under President Trump, America is back. Trump's delivered the largest tax cut in history, putting more money in our pockets and restored America's economic dominance. Promises made, promises kept. Now it's time to fulfill another promise from President Trump and reschedule cannabis, which supports over 400,000 jobs and creates billions of dollars in economic growth. Reschedule cannabis and stack another win, Mr. President. America First Agriculture Action, Inc. is responsible for the contents of this advertising.
And we are back. Stop whatever you... Oh, no, we already did that. Sorry. Oops, my bad. We're going to roll right in to Miss Shaun Salvaje. She's a mom. That's why, you know what I'm saying? She does what she does. She's a veteran. That's why she likes to shoot them up and bang, bang. And she's a mitigator or arbitrator who likes to always talk her points in her mind. It is none other than Miss Shaun Salvaje.
I don't get to speak my mind when you've hired me to mediate. I'm there to listen to you and then to help you see light and reason. That's why you're coming to me.
That's why you interject.
You don't want to go to court, guys. I'm telling you. Speaking of how crazy things happen, and yes, I'm a mom, and that's why I will box you by the ear and will tell you what's up. And then we'll deliver a little dose of love after. The courts, Dale will speak on this. The courts sometimes, it's interesting. We do have laws and we do have judges, and they do make sometimes fair rulings, and then sometimes they are biased and corrupt too. This story from Marijuana Moment kind of touches on how agencies might do this. So we have this issue happening right now in Texas. We have DSHS that making rules, and rules that may be more prohibitive than what was intended by the executive office of the governor. So here in this headline by Kyle Yeager, it says USDA seeks White House approval for changes to hemp farming forms as industry braces for federal THC ban. That's the headline. Here's what I want you to hear underneath is an agency, before we've actually made any decisions, is already pushing forward on new forms. So they're spending money on new forms. That tells me they've been thinking about this. Like, it costs money to do this stuff. So there's always a runway on and off. And I think they're playing with us. The U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, is seeking White House approval for updates to a series of forms it distributes to hemp farmers and regulators to better understand the state of the industry. As a federal ban on hemp-derived THC products looms after President Donald Trump signed a large-scale bill with recriminalization provisions last year, like last month, guys, not last year, but that just happened. We still have the whiplash. USDA said in a notice published in the Federal Register on Wednesday that it wants the White House Office Management, OMB, Management and Budget, to review 7 forms it plans to revise and disseminate for information gathering purposes. In accordance with the Paperwork Reduction Act of 1995, this notice announces the Agricultural Marketing Services, AMS, intention to request an extension and revision to the approved forms hemp producers licensed by USDA, as well as states, territories, and tribes with approved hemp production plans must complete as part of the U.S. domestic hemp production program. I do have PTSD. That's been diagnosed. Maybe it's some other PTSD that I have where when they start sending out forms before we've decided on rules, I get a little antsy about what kind of information they're gathering. So the forms the department is soliciting input on include those that collect data on licensing status, remediation practices for hemp that test above the federal THC limit, acreage for the cannabis crop. Which farmers are going to answer this? I don't know. USDA will accept public comment on, y'all got to read this story because they're going to ask for a whole lot of stuff. And I just don't see, with all of the farmers suffering the way that they are, whether you're in cannabis or any other ag space right now, cattle, carrots, the carrot harvest is rotting right now. Like, the farmers are really going through it, and I don't see them filling this stuff out. And on that, some of this information feels like they're fishing. So they'll tell you about fishing in the law. He'll tell you exactly what it is. This is an agency, but don't think that they don't operate the same way, because our nation, yes, it is a republic and a constitutional republic, but also it is totally run by litigation. And Donald Trump knows that very well. He's been pretty successful at that, and his administration is really leaning on that strategy. So I wouldn't be surprised to see other agencies also trying to do some sneaky things before they hit you with the hammer. USDA will accept public comment on their proposed extension and revisions of these forms on March 30th. I'll dig through the forms. On that note, I did mention Texas and dishes. I know some of y'all in the audience are from Texas, and I do want to let you guys know we don't know what dishes is going to do now. So everybody submitted their comments. They were due yesterday, and any day a decision could come. It could be today, tomorrow. It could be in a few weeks. It could be in a few months. It's probably not going to be in a few months, but we'll keep you posted. And y'all you did the work, and now you got to sit and wait on the result. And then after that, if it doesn't go our way, they'll probably just litigate it. But I'm going to bring this back to you, Dale. What do you think when agencies start sending out forms and gathering information? You want to believe that they're doing it for your own good. What's your experience with that?
I don't trust the government. That's what my experience is.
Right.
And these are emergency procedures. And when the last spending bill got passed, they put the stop on to the hemp industry. I think we all understood that now we got a clock ticking. Something has to happen. I don't know why they want to redo forms. I mean, I think they should be out in the field talking to people, asking questions about how this actually works to see if they can come up with better rules. But right now, I'd be very skeptical of anything somebody wants to do now with the vast unknown out there about how hemp's going to be handled at the end of this year. I would be very skeptical of what they're trying to accomplish, because as soon as some decision's made, everything gets thrown off the table. You start over again. And every time regulations are drawn up, you get these, they put out their emergency, you promulgate them, you got so many days to talk about them, they only got a life expectancy and they're done. Then we go into further regulations. It's a rat race you run as they try to adjust regulations. But I think the regulations are all going to be wiped out here over this next year as they try to figure this out. So, I don't know. You're right. If they're spending money on something, you wonder, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
I mean, whose job are you trying to keep going out and doing this? And I just basically at my core don't trust the government. I'd like them to explain what they're doing. Even then, you expect them to lie most of the time about what they're doing.
Yeah, I think it's a little bureaucracy, like let's stay busy. And then it's also let's show that we're doing something. And then they're doing the wrong thing. Like I really do see it. They are all little startups. And then you have the most, some great people, usually the most incompetent at the top though. And you're like, hey, it's
Murphy's Law.
I think you're onto something as like, I don't trust it. And they frequently, what I've seen just through rounds of legislation and policy making on the federal and state level, I've noticed the agencies will come out with something preemptively, and then that ends up being the last document on the table, just like what we saw with the rulemaking process in Texas. HB 309, a terrible bill, was the last thing on the table. It's the first thing that they picked up. So USDA puts these forms down. They set new rules, certain language, get specific admissions. That'll be the first thing they pick right back up when they're talking about bans. And that's why I'm always like,
to me, I want to hope for the best. But I'm going to expect the worst. But I'm hopeful that these forms would be because they intend on saying that hemp and CBD can be included in consumable food as well as consumable food for livestock. You know what I mean? And that's my ultimate hope of why they are doing this, to ask these types of questions, because I know a number of different hemp farmers that have tons of biomass that they can't actually sell to farms for the purpose of feeding livestock. And
don't they already? Jason, we got to for chicken feed.
Chicken feed. Oh, I'm talking about like real animals.
Cattle?
Yeah.
I mean, I thought that they already had.
Pete is gonna probably send me a letter for that one, but oh well, whatever. You know what I mean?
Why? You're probably gonna get the best meat out of a cannabis fed cow.
This is part of my point. Is we need real grass fed cattle. You know what I'm saying, guys? Real grass fed cattle. That's the whole marketing campaign.
If they really want to see what's going on the ground, I would implore them. I love your grass fed cattle.
I'm glad you like that.
I didn't mean to go right.
I'm glad you like that. I'm glad you like that.
I agree. I think an infused steak is probably the best.
Yeah.
If they really want to see what's happening, they need to go out and get on the ground. We seem to spend a lot of money kind of like haphazardly. This wouldn't take like a massive deployment. Just send like little teams of 3, go do a little report, 5 different areas, talk to different farmers.
Why do they need teams of 3?
Why 3? You need, because it makes more sense. One cannot always pay attention. You don't want 2 alone.
Why not 2?
No, because they sometimes bounce off of each other and you get groupthink. It's always good to have.
Oh, hold on a second. So you're telling me you're against groupthink? Because that's a liberal thing. I'm just asking. Just pointing the obvious.
As much as you want to say intelligence is propaganda,
groupthink is.
It's not. I know because I the government asked me to do their propaganda.
Exactly.
And I made sure I stayed away from it.
Based off of intelligence.
I'm proud of my record. My record is clean. But
was mine.
Let's get back on the topic. Because some of us have a lot of integrity and we're willing to take the hits to maintain our integrity because all you have in this world is your name and your word. And I stand by it. But what article are we on? We got way off tangent.
No, we didn't. We're talking about your article, this USDA thing. We're talking about where's the real grass-fed beef at, Shaun?
I think I'm so burnt from this whole year and a half of this ledge here in Texas, and then the feds added the cherry on top at the end, which no one was expecting. Mitch McConnell, he just glitched out the other day. I'm ready to glitch out myself and turn it off, but we're still waiting for DSHS.
Maybe Mitch has already passed and he's just an AI robot.
It's a hologram. Oh my God.
Could be, possibly. Well, on that, we're gonna
a robot.
We're gonna roll in. We're gonna roll into our final commercial, and we're gonna be right back.
Oh man, your knees still bothering you, man?
Yeah, my left one, you know? But I'll tell you what, I've been using this new CBD cream, and it works like a miracle.
CBDs? I done heard about them CBDs. I was out there on them Twitters the other day, and I heard they get you high as a kite.
Well, not this stuff. This stuff is tested. Every batch, all the way through, pharmaceutical grade. And in a GMP certified facility, so you know you're not going to have to worry about flying high.
GMP certified? I might have to try some of this out. Where am I even find this?
You go directly to aimhighhemp.com and they will ship it to your door right away. Test it. It's not a name, it's a promise.
And we are back. And shout out to Flash4 in the chat who says Mitch Headroom. That is very time. Oh man, for those that don't know what Max Headroom was, they should probably learn about it. He was the very first AI ever, back in the 80s. Should check him out. But nonetheless, he was even doing Coke ads back in the day. You know what I mean? With Michael Jackson. But yeah. I'm telling you, Shaun.
Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
Okay.
Coke ads. What do you think? Where's your mind at, Shaun? In the gutter again? God, geez Louise. Well, here I have I have two quick stories for you guys today. Because the DeSantis administration is launching a probe into marijuana referendum petitions in Broward County. That's right. State election crimes investigators were sent to Broward County's elections headquarters in Fort Lauderdale this week to investigate marijuana referendum petitions processed by the Broward Supervisor of Elections Office. According to the South Florida Sun-Sentinel, the investigators sent by Governor Ron DeSantis' administration arrived at elections headquarters on Monday and were still there on Tuesday. The Broward County Supervisor of Elections Office told Local 10 that investigators were expected there again on Wednesday, as of today. The Elections Office released a statement on Local 10 News saying, "There is no indication that the Broward County Supervisor of Elections Office nor Broward County Supervisor of Elections Joe Scott is under investigation." Scott said the investigation targets circulators who were terminated for petition fraud by Smart and Safe Florida. A letter dated January 24, 2026 from the Secretary of State referenced issues related to petitions collected for the marijuana initiative, Scott said in a statement. That correspondence was subsequently clarified by a letter sent to our office the following day from the Office of the Statewide Prosecutor, which makes clear that the targets of the investigation are circulators who were terminated for petition fraud by Smart and Safe Florida. My team and I are doing our part by providing information requested by the authorities. Our office remains committed to serving the people of Broward County with the transparency they expect from us. The proposed marijuana referendum would amend the state's constitution to legalize the use of adult use cannabis by those 21 and older, and something the DeSantis administration is opposed to. Well, you guys, more people under investigation in Florida for this voter initiative. Man, they've already made some arrests and some stories that we covered on Monday, Dale, in other counties, and they said that there's probably like another dozen or so investigations that they are going to start going into, and this sounds like they're opening up a whole can of worms out in Broward County.
Every state has its laws for collecting signatures for initiatives, and every one of them is a little bit different. But voter fraud is something that they should take seriously. If somebody tells you, hey, if you sign this, it represents A and it actually represents B, and they know that and they're just lying to you, and that sounds to me like that's fraudulent behavior and something should be done. But, I don't know that we have this figured out very well, because as soon as they find one, it gets blown up into a million or whatever. And I don't know what they were actually telling me. I'd like to see some more information about what they were saying about this. But I know that Sam has been accused of some of the same stuff in Massachusetts.
Yep.
Not telling you the truth about what this is to get your signature on it. And I think what's good for the goose is good for the gander. Stick a microscope up everybody's ass and take a look around and find out why were you saying these things? Who told you to say that? Where'd you come up with this language? Because when I was out stumping for Prop 64, I'm not saying that all worked out real well, but we were given approved language of what you could say. You just don't get to go rogue and say, oh, this is this and this, that. No. And besides, I read the damn thing, and I like to stay close to what the language is. So I wonder who would be doing that, because when I've been involved in initiatives, I want competent people doing it. Okay. I don't want some tweaker he's not stealing copper this week because he's out, getting people's signatures. No, I want it to be professionally run, because I want this to be put on a ballot for the voters to decide if they want it or not. Just because it makes it doesn't mean that they're going to want it. But if it doesn't make it on the ballot and people do want it, and the reason it didn't make it because you're an idiot and you lie to people, I think you might want to be sitting in an orange jumpsuit eating with a spork for a minute.
Yeah.
This is serious shit.
It is.
Elections are very serious things.
I agree.
They should be as clean as we can make them at all levels.
That's why we need voter ID. You're so right about that, Dale.
I feel like I remember the early conversation before it became a bigger legal battle, and I wish we had Chris on today. But hopefully he'll be able to weigh in. I thought it was a marketing ploy, because I remember when I saw early social media posts, people from within the cannabis space or cannabis consumers were resharing certain material. And then when you actually went and read it, it was not what it purported to be. And so I always was under the impression this was an internalized marketing scheme that they then used. And now that they're getting caught, Safe and Smart is going to distance themselves, and it's their strategy that they've used in different cities, clearly, but they're going to let this be a lesson to everyone. If someone asks you to do something that compromises your integrity, just know that they will leave you there to hang also, because they have no integrity. That's why they're asking you to sign yours away too. So I think this was a marketing strategy. I don't think it was an accident. I think it was intentional, and they're just trying to distance themselves. And this sounds like a PR article. Just my spidey senses, and it's all speculation, guys. But yeah, I feel like you can read right through it.
Somebody has to be the adult in the room and look at this and go, "This is bullshit. It's not true." And you're not going to go out there representing to people that this is what this initiative stands for. I have been guy, the asshole in the room who said, no, you're not doing that. You're not saying that because it's not connected to the truth. And marketing is a lot different from going out and getting these voter initiatives, because it's not marketing. They actually read what you say, okay, and compare it to the actual facts. And if you're stretching the truth beyond breaking point, and you should be in trouble. But see, our world is run by marketing. People are not surprised that they got marketing trying to get you to buy shit you don't need with money you ain't got to impress people you don't even like. Okay. And here we have, I want this on the ballot, so let's just tell them whatever they want to hear to get their signature. No.
Yep.
This is an area where we have some bright lines here. If you stick your toe over it, someone's going to cut your goddamn foot off. Okay. Stop this. Somebody should have told him, as soon as you hear, oh, they're telling me this and it's not true, that person should be sitting in your office and it's like, here's your paycheck. Don't let the door hit you on the ass on the way out.
Yeah.
Have some integrity here and be the adult that says, no, we're going to be straight up with people. Tell them what this represents. If they tell us where to go and they won't sign it, that's your right.
Yep.
If they do sign it, and it represents what you're telling them it represents. Okay. And we've just basically lost our sense of integrity because everybody wants to market shit, doesn't want to be honest because they're afraid being honest won't sell the product they want. Don't even know what to say about that.
A marketing mistake is the honesty is what makes people connect. It's in that I believe that they had pushed this as a form of legalization in its early stages. It was really just to iron out a monopoly. And that's probably what we're going to hear in this case is really going to be about the details and nuance of what did they say and what did they say they said. Like, and they might have said it is a legalization measure, but it ain't the one that you think it is, you know? And so read the fine print, guys, before you sign your name. Trust, but verify. That's always... Dale, you know that one, right?
Be skeptical and verify. There you go.
There you go. Especially if you're corrupt. Don't trust.
Stop
you
it.
Already know.
Stop it. Stop. He's so funny sometimes, Shaun. So funny.
If you're already corrupt, why are you blindly giving your trust? Like, you're an idiot.
Well, because they're in on the whole corruption, Shaun. That's why they're giving their blindly trust.
By definition is dishonest. Like you're just you're rats in a cage, waiting to see who's the last one standing. It's crazy to me.
It's not always how
it's crazy to me.
Out.
That's why I'm a mediator, and I would like to help people get to the truth. Because it will you can operate in life that way, and you can also meet an early death that way. It's just no way to live. It's not healthy. It's a terrible way to live.
Whoop wop 435 says, if voting changed anything, it would be illegal. Quote from George Carlin.
Yeah. I'm channeling George Carlin the older I get.
I feel you on that. Well, I have one final story. Hopefully, we're going to keep monitoring this whole Florida debacle as this whole thing continues and whatnot. But I have one last final story for you. And we were talking about, voter ID and showing your ID. And this story ties in to all of that. And look, I made them all kind of tie together. Pretty fancy. Because a South Dakota bill would allow police to arrest medical marijuana patients who do not present a card on demand, and the hearing is set for January 29th. A proposal filed by 17 Republican lawmakers in South Dakota would change how medical marijuana patients interact with law enforcement, requiring cardholders to immediately provide their registry identification card upon a request or risk arrest. The measure, Senate Bill 9-5, has now been scheduled for a public hearing before the Senate Judiciary Committee on January 29th. And under current law, registered cardholders are broadly protected from arrest, prosecution, or penalties for the lawful medical use of marijuana as long as they remain within possession limits and follow cultivation and transport rules. The new proposal would carve out a significant exception for those protections. Specifically, the bill adds language stating that, notwithstanding any other provision, a cardholder would be subject to arrest if, upon request by a law enforcement officer, they fail to provide their registry identification card or registry identification card number. The same requirement would apply to non-resident cardholders traveling in the state, and even though non-resident patients are currently protected from arrest when transporting, purchasing, possessing, or using medical marijuana within the legal limits, the bill would allow their arrest if they cannot produce either the card or the card number when asked by police. This marks a notable shift from the existing framework of South Dakota's medical marijuana law, which was approved by voters back in 2020 and designed to shield qualifying patients from criminal penalties when acting within the program's rules, instead of focusing solely on whether a patient is compliant with possession limits and usage regulations. The proposal introduces an on-the-spot documentation requirement that could override those protections. The bill does not specify any grace period, an alternative method of verification, or requirement that officers confirm a person's status, though the state registry before making an arrest. And as written, the failure to immediately present the physical card to or recite the card number could be enough to justify an arrest under Chapter 23A-3 of the state law. Because the new language is inserted with a notwithstanding any other provision clause, it would effectively supersede the broader arrest protections currently granted to patients under sections 34-20G-2 and 34-20G-3. If approved by the legislature and signed into law, the change would mean that even fully compliant medical marijuana patients could face arrest simply for not having their card or card number readily available during an encounter with law enforcement. The Senate Judiciary Committee will take public testimony on the measure on January 29th. Well, I guess I'm kind of, conflated on this. For one, I want to know why. They've obviously something happened in South Dakota to where they feel the need that this is a necessity, like someone is being disingenuous about having a card or whatnot or something, but like when you get pulled over, you need to show your license and your registration. So I don't really see that as being that big of a deal of having to show your medical card or know your card number. I mean, I know my driver's license number. If I don't have my driver's license on me, I tell them what my driver's license number is, and that's what it is. So I don't think it's out. I think maybe
That's for driving, though, not HIPAA.
Cannabis is not protected under HIPAA, Shaun.
It should be, and if it's a medical
it's not.
card,
It's not protected under HIPAA.
If it's not protected under HIPAA, that's fine. It's a medical card.
Oh, it's also controlled. It's also a controlled substance. Huh?
For what cause? For what cause do they need to see your cannabis?
Well, because they're probably saying, hey, we smell cannabis in the car, and then you're using the fact that you're a medical cannabis patient as your legal defense to say why that odoriferous emanation is coming out of your vehicle. And so that I don't see that this as that big of an issue. I don't understand it, but I feel like there's some underlining thing that I'm missing here, but I don't see it as that big of a thing.
I feel like the whole medical cannabis card thing is an issue because we have those emergency cards for people who need life-saving medicine. So I don't think a child who's using medical cannabis would have a medical cannabis card. They would have I have seizures, like some kind of emergency document that we can see or look for if they have an episode. So this whole cannabis card thing, I feel is like a brainwashing we've accepted. If they want to go through that route, Shaun, and they want to say that they smell, I still need to understand what probable cause. Even Shaun, I understand South Dakota might have its own rules about smell, but not all states are the same. And I'm just looking at this overall.
Shaun. So you bring up an interesting point. Like, what if a parent gets pulled over and a child has a medical cannabis card for their seizure disorder or whatnot? But the reality of it is this: is the car they wouldn't be subject to that probable cause because they wouldn't be traveling with flour for that child. That would be some type of a pharmaceutical grade type of product. You know what I mean? I don't know of anybody. I don't know of any child that is being allowed to smoke cannabis for seizures or whatnot. It's generally they have some type of tincture, a pill, something like that, some type of manufactured grade product. It
was an analogy.
Well, I'm just saying that I'm just blowing holes in the analogy because that doesn't make sense because we're talking flour.
The analogy. Let me clarify it. When we have an emergency, a medical issue, typically that you need a card for. So you're a donor on your driver's license. If you are a person who has a medical issue that would need emergent attention or could be the reason why you have an emergent episode, like you routinely have seizures, you would usually carry a card on your person that shares that information. So that way people—
You mean like people when they have the wristbands, the wrist things that say that, hey, I'm so and so such and such, whatever. Okay.
You know what we don't have a card for? I don't have a card for anybody's Xannies, benzos, or other prescriptions. Why a card for this?
Well, because they don't smell.
So, and then on the issue of probable cause, smell, depending on the state, is not probable cause. I really see this as, if you don't have papers, we're going to arrest you. It's just a way to get you through the little gates of private prison for profit system that messes you up for the rest of your life. By the way, you will pay them forever. You have to pay for your probation. You have to pay for everything after that. You have to pay to barely be allowed to survive, even if you didn't do anything.
I just don't understand. I just don't.
Step in, because if you don't have it, they say they can off the bat.
No, well, hold on. No, Shaun. They say if you don't have it, you have to be able to recite your number. So if you can't memorize your number, I mean, I don't see a big problem with this. I really don't. I'm trying to find a way. I'm trying to find a way to be able to say, hey, you know what? This is totally ridiculousness. But I can't find a way to say that yet. I'm not there yet.
South Dakota DPS can have anyone who's in their medical registry registered in their system. So that way, just like when you give them your social security number, if you don't have your driver's license on you, they can run it and cross-check it with other systems to pull your number. They can pull that information too. This is an unnecessary step in interaction between law enforcement and the people that it doesn't need to happen.
How do you know that? How do you know that that's how their system works?
Issue that they're trying to make a reason to arrest you. Fix it. It's like,
how do you know that that's how their system works?
They have like a small problem that they could fix with like a policy tweak, and instead they want to take a big old shotgun and work on it.
How do you know? How do you know that law enforcement has access to that database, Shaun?
I'm telling you what the Texas program is.
Well, that's the Texas program. We're talking about South Dakota.
I literally said South Dakota can look at Texas's DPS program.
Okay.
Do the same thing with the computer software, and it really is boop, 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 a few weeks. It's not that hard. How many medical patients do they have in South Dakota? It's not that many. This is a reason to throw your ass in jail. Let's just be, I'm just going to tell you what it is.
I don't know. I'm not buying that.
There are a
Talk.
bunch of layers here. One layer at a federal level, having that card is an admission you're an illegal user of a controlled substance, lose your gun rights, or potentially. Federally, you're admitting that you're engaging in criminal activity over this plant. So, I mean, that's just not going to go away. That's in every state that has these. But if the state gives you the ability to not be prosecuted if you have one of these cards, and, you know, if you're going to opt into that system, then the card is something that is not that big a deal. Molly and I used to give people cards. Yeah. We had our own data bank, and all our number will verify, because it is not that big a deal if that's where you're going to be. One of my concerns is if you don't have this card and you get caught with this and you still defend yourself, if a doctor believes that you are sick and should use it. That's another layer that's not really here. Yeah. And also, what's the reasonable suspicion that would cause you to lawfully ask somebody their card? I mean, that's always an issue. If you're just walking down the street and you got dreadlocks, hey, let's see your medical marijuana card. You know, you bite me, dude. You've got no right to bother me. But if you're smoking a blunt, okay. So there are some layers here. I don't like people being arrested for marijuana, so I really don't. That gets me a little bit. But one of the arguments I've made for a long time is that having some sort of identification is just an unreasonable burden on people. And everybody has a damn cell phone today, which is $1,000, but you can't get some sort of a reasonable identification if you want to be protected from arrest, marijuana. Some of that is hard for me to say with a straight face, but it's complicated. And you know, I don't have a good answer, because every state has its own set of laws, including it's prohibited here. You're going just flat out going to jail. Okay. I don't know if there's a way to protect yourself from prosecution and ultimately jail time and things like that. You get caught with marijuana, but you really are sick, but you don't have your card. That's an area I don't understand, and I wouldn't want to see go to jail unnecessarily if they really are sick.
I agree with that. I wouldn't want to see someone sick go to jail unnecessarily. I'm totally with you on that. But at the same time, I don't think that it's that heavy of a lift to make sure that you have your card, or either you memorize your number or you take a photo of your card, so then that way you always have it on your phone. I don't think that that's a heavy lift or a heavy demand for people to have to. You have to hold on. You have to have car insurance. You have to have registration, and you have to have a driver's license in order to drive a car. And you have to present those 3 things, right? In order at any traffic stop. So them asking for an additional proof of X, Y, or Z, I don't see as a big deal.
So it starts with it's not a big deal. And I would agree in most circumstances, it's not a big deal, but I still want probable cause. And it does set up a whole line of questioning for entrapment. Nope. If you don't have to talk to me, don't talk to me, please. Unless there was cause, like reckless driving or something else, you got no business talking to me. Driving on. And so I'm worried about that. It also sets a precedent. Okay, so I have a real ID now, right?
Mm-hmm. You have a real ID as opposed to a fake ID?
I got a real ID with the gold star, which descended from Ashkenazi Jews, is really ironic to me. I got the gold star, and we all supposed to have the gold star. And recent headlines have said that the administration is now suggesting that even for voting, the real ID may not be enough. My little gold star is not enough. So now when we start to make a rule set, this is why I always hate this stuff. And this is actually the most Republican part of me, or it was when we used to define that as it. It is the most conservative part of me, is that I like the least amount of rules to get things done and keep it simple. That's how machines can operate smoothly. And creating a rule where now we need to see some form of identification or you risk arrest. That was where my big red flag was when you were reading the article. It sets a new layer of, okay, here's the benchmark. We didn't have a benchmark previously, but now we do. And now we can just keep moving the goalpost. We can just keep changing and shifting what that requirement is for the level of surveillance that our citizens are under. And I'm not okay with that fundamentally.
Okay. Interesting. I don't see it as a big deal. I understand you're part of the surveillance part. I totally get it.
The state could spend a couple thousand.
And everyone has a cell phone.
Millions.
Everyone has a cell phone.
A couple thousand. Do a little software, link it up to their DPS, and it would run. Same system. Yeah. It can be fixed that way, not by controlling the people.
But it's a lot cheaper. It's a lot cheaper on the taxpayer.
And not making new rules and laws.
But Shaun, it's a lot cheaper on the taxpayer if they just snap a picture of their thing, and we don't have to pay for any new system software to get implemented or anything.
With the level of arrest that will go up, then we have to pay for the private prison system that is failing. Private prisons.
Hold on. First of all, hold on a second. Arrests don't lead to prison. Prison time is when you're convicted of a serious crime and you do over a year in jail. Okay. So you can talk about jails, but prisons and jails are not the same thing. They are not even close to the same thing.
Getting arrested can ruin a person's life. I don't care how you want to slice it or Pollyanna it. There are many people who cannot afford to even go through the process. Lots of them are learning right now with how due process is being handled on the recent American protest, and I don't want to get into the issue.
You just brought in the issue.
You need to understand, Jason. It does, and I feel you do understand. You have also gone through these experiences. It costs a lot of money, and most Americans are not going to survive that.
FAFO.
No.
Fuck around and find out.
You're not FAFO by not having a piece of arbitrary paper on you.
It's not a paper, it's a card.
To consume a plant.
It's a card. It's a card, and they signed up to have it.
Oh,
just saying.
It's all made up, man.
They signed up to have it. If you sign up to have it, you should want to show it. You should want to show it. You're like, hey, you know what? Here you go, guys. Here, I'm good.
I don't want to show any more papers. No, I don't want to show any more papers. I already have to drive around with my passport, my driver's license. I'm wondering if I should laminate my birth certificate.
Maybe.
I am a veteran and I served, and I shouldn't have to drive around with any papers if I'm not doing anything. I'm not doing anything.
Well, you are doing something. You're driving around. Alone. You're driving around.
We should leave everybody alone. No more papers. Fuck off.
Easy there.
That one you got. Triggered. End of the show.
Triggered.
I get one.
No, you already had one in the beginning of the show, and you don't get one. You get none. And on that, thank you all for joining us and getting high at 9 with us every Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific and high noon on the East Coast. And big shout out to our audience and supporters for tuning in daily and listening to the insanity that is the developing cannabis industry. Huge thank you to Catalyst Cannabis for helping us keep the lights on, and thank you to our correspondents for being absolutely amazing. And thank you to Cannabis Sativa L for giving us a reason to do this every day. And thank you to Cloud Media Partners, Elias and Gabriel. They're somewhere in the metaverse. And thank you all for tuning in and getting high at 9 with us. We are America's #1 daily cannabis news show.